So as you guys can tell from the title of the video, we have early access to a little bit of what Verdansk looks like. To clarify, no, I did not play the game early. So unfortunately, it's not that kind of access, but we did have a creator call this morning with some of the developers from Raven Software and Treyarch. And I'm super excited to kind of talk about the patch notes I know they just released. So I'll kind of give you guys an insight on what happened and what we discussed in the creator call. And also kind of just talk about some of the patch notes. There's so much to cover in today's video. But before we jump into that, if you guys are new here, I would really appreciate it if you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel with your post notifications on, and also comment down below. We're gonna just kind of talk about the patch notes, and I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on the changes that they're making for Verdansk. And also, we just have an exciting week for Verdansk, so let's get straight to it. So as you guys can see on your screen, we have the Season 3 patch notes. These just released. Raven Software just put out a tweet about it. And here's a little bit of the roadmap. This is for specifically Warzone. This specific page is going to be for Warzone. So Monday, March 31st, obviously. There's so much to talk about here. Specifically for Warzone, guys, we have the Kilo coming back. As you can see, the HDR, the AMAX, and then also the Ladra coming back. The nail gun coming back, and the Kali sticks as well coming back. In addition to that, we have the monolithic suppressor, the Grau conversion kit. I know a lot of people are upset about the Grau being a conversion kit rather than a gun, rather than being a standalone gun. However, I think it's going to be a lot better than a lot of people think, especially just because the conversion kit has the barrel attached. We're getting the 10mm 30-round mag back, which was super strong on the MP5 if you guys remember back then. And then this mini rocket conversion kit is for the Goblin MK2. Not sure how that's going to be, but super excited for that regardless. So as you guys can tell here, Ricochet anti-cheat. I'm not going to go into this too much. As far as the anti-cheat stuff, I'm just going to wait and see. I'm very, kind of just on the edge of whether or not they're actually going to have some good updates for Season 3. I've heard that things are good, but I'm not going to go ahead and judge it, and especially until we at least play ranked in Season 3.5. So moving on from there, as you guys can tell, they're just continuing to push the Milsim narrative onto Warzone. As you guys can tell, I'm super excited for this. I'm happy that they're keeping a lot of the original skins. Like, I personally love using like some of the non-Milsim skins. So I'm glad to see they're kind of doing both, but they really are pushing for Milsim, especially that just like nostalgic feel for 2020. As you guys can tell here, Season 3, guys, they tested this with ranked last season, and I thought it was great until people were teaming in ranked. However, they are going to be continuing to build off of the cross-pay only feature. Now, this is a little scary for me because it makes me feel like, okay, if they're pushing the console-only thing, is it more so because of cheaters, or do they actually want console players to kind of just have their own playing field because PCs are getting so advanced and it's kind of a disadvantage for the console players? Personally, I played off a PS5. I thought it felt great. So I would be very surprised if it was for those reasons. However, I'm excited to kind of see them continue building off of this. As you guys can tell here, a lot of UI and tech updates, so like the shaders and stuff like that, PC benchmarking. Now, this was super interesting. Off the call that we showed, they showed specific images of this. However, now there's going to be two different tabs on the customization for camos and blueprints. So you guys can manually select specific attachments, camos, and stuff like that for blueprints. It just makes things a lot more organized, and you guys are actually going to see that whenever the game drops. Unfortunately, I can't share any like screenshots or anything like that, but they did show it to us, and it was very cool. Nothing new here. We've seen this roadmap. Specifically, I'm excited for the contract multipliers, as well as big game bounties, shooting during free fall, the original helicopter coming back, vehicle rebalancing. You guys know that the Big Bertha's coming back. The LTVs and everything are getting a rebalance. 150 players on Warzone. Also a very exciting game modes coming back as well. We have the high trip resurgence mode. We have a rebirth saying as well, and a BR ranked on Verdansk in the mid-season. So that's super exciting. You guys know me, huge rank guy, huge competitive Warzone guy. Just very curious to see how they kind of deal with cheaters. Moving on, as you guys can tell, nostalgia has been kind of like the one thing that they've been really pushing. And as you guys can see here in this, it says welcome home. So we'll kind of go ahead and read this. Welcome home, Verdansk has returned. The map that started it all with Call of Duty Warzone, including a breadth, I've actually never seen that word, a breadth of classic and memorable features that naturally come with it. Below is a recap of some of the improvements made to Verdansk that players can expect to see as outlined on the Return to Verdansk blog. Trees are slightly repositioned from the original map. Non-drivable vehicles clearly marked as smoldering wreckage. Swimming now possible, southern coastline extended into Castovian Sea, not critical to gameplay. Improved traversal in steep areas, now new goat trails. Now, the goat trails I can confirm from the screenshots we've seen are from Prison, and then there's also one in Dam. Those are the two that I saw. There's one in Prison and Dam, and I wouldn't be surprised if they had them kind of in more areas as well. But super exciting kind of see them build off of that. The goat trails are super clean and nice. Honestly, it's kind of nice because I know zip lines have been very popular, but this is just kind of another way to kind of traverse and get up the map. So that's super exciting. We'll go ahead and continue off of this. Shorter telephone electrical poles for easy parachute landings. Additional ladders are adjusted paths for rooftops for better accessibility. Doors are now double hinge, allowing barging, shooting, and blowing up open close. As you guys know before, the doors were like never like, you couldn't shoot doors or anything in Verdansk, so that's super exciting. They're kind of bringing that. Ascenders are returning mid-season, already available in plunder mode, updated to the faster L-shaped design for increased fluidity and speed when getting on and off. The L-shape Ascenders are super great. I'm kind of surprised they're not bringing them at the beginning, so we'll kind of see how that goes. But until then, I'm super happy with how zip lines have kind of progressed over the years. This is a big one, by the way. Interior lighting adjusted to reduce hiding spots, especially against dark corners. As you guys know, the rose skin back in the original Verdansk experience was absolutely broken. So I'm excited to see how they kind of build off of lighting. I know lighting and audio have been two very big issues for a long time, so hopefully they can continue to improve on that. For console players, the ability to view Verdansk in 120 FOV for the first time. Very exciting, honestly. I forgot, you know, that 120 FOV was added back in Verdansk, or back in, I believe, Warzone 3 was that. So that's super exciting. Now to continue, as you guys know, the original Gulag is coming back from 2020, and there are 3 different variants included in that. So that is super exciting. Again, nostalgia obviously is one of the biggest pinpoints that they're trying to push this season. So very exciting to see that. Now, I know a lot of people are concerned about Rebirth and Resurgence. You know, myself as well, honestly, I do enjoy the Resurgence mode. I'm obviously very excited about Verdansk, so we won't talk about this too much, but I'm very curious. The one thing that I don't know is if Resurgence is going to have like the same contracts that are changed on Verdansk. So like, for example, I know a lot of the contracts aren't coming back for Verdansk. So that will be a little bit of a concern that I have, and also kind of just the pacing and stuff. So very curious to see how that moves forward, but we'll go ahead and read this. Rebirth Island, which is currently live, will remain part of Season 3 offering. Resurgence quads will be added to the playlist shortly after the launch of Season 3, with the remaining squad sizes coming later in the season. So no Area 99. Unsure of when Area 99 will be coming back, but we're gonna just have to move forward and just kind of see when that happens. A Battle Royale casual mode. This is basically for people to kind of shoot bots and then also real players. High Trip Resurgence, very exciting. Battle Royale, 150 players, super exciting. 152 for quads, for plunder specifically. Also moving forward. Oh wait, no, this is not for plunder. This is for BR. My bad. I saw plunder down here. So 152 players for quads, super exciting. Plunder at launch, incredible. Warzone Bootcamp, this is kind of one I was talking about. And then also Resurgence, again, talking about Rebirth Island specifically, and no Area 99. So kind of have to sit back and wait and see where that goes. Now, this is super exciting, guys. Season 3.5 will have Verdansk ranked, which I'm very excited for. There will kind of be like a hard reset when rank drops, and then they're going to do like a soft reset at Season 4. So, for example, like when you get to the new season in Verdansk for ranked, you're going to go back to bronze, and then they're going to have to build your way back up to wherever you were in Urzikstan rank. So that's super exciting. They're kind of doing a hard reset. The one thing that obviously a concern of mine is whether there will be cheaters or not. So we're going to have to just wait and see. But for now, super excited for Warzone ranked. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be playing of it. If the cheating issue is still very bad, I probably won't support the mode. However, I'm very excited to kind of see where this goes, especially you guys know World Series of Warzone, an incredible year, time of the year. So very excited for that. 150 players, up from 120, 152 in quads, very exciting. Free fall while shooting, kind of stuff we've already talked about, so I won't talk about it too much. 360-degree revive rotation. Now players can now rotate 360 degrees while reviving a squad mate instead of being fixed in their squad mate's down position. This is actually new. Well, this is something that we used to have, and looks like we're getting it back, so that's very exciting. You guys could be reviving your teammate, and you could turn as well to kind of see if there are anybody pushing in, so that's super exciting. Now looking here at the end game circle pacing, the gas circle is pacing is faithful to the original timings of gas closing. So right now I believe games are about 23 to 24 minutes, and it seems like the games will now be running a little bit longer, so that you can have a little bit more of the original Battle Royale feel. So we go ahead and kind of talk about here, close and delay. So this is just kind of like some comparison on how they're going to be changing these zones compared to Urzikstan to Verdansk. We'll go ahead and read this. We've got some good memories of the games ending in the woods above Quarry or in the deep forest of East or West Verdansk. And this change circle logic brings back those possible end games. Be warned, this does mean that the circle can move very quickly if you're caught up deep inside the gas while it starts to move. Respect the circle and you'll stay alive. So if you guys didn't remember, back in the original Verdansk experience, if the zone was pulled very deep one way, you would actually be slower than the gas. So you would have to rotate a lot earlier, and you would die to gas if you didn't. So this is kind of like what they're bringing back a little bit. Unsure how I feel about this. We'll have to see how it plays out, but I'm glad to kind of see that they're doing a hard reset, and then we can kind of build off of that. Now, ascenders on Verdansk, bring back the classic feel of Verdansk. External ascenders have been disabled at the launch, but are scheduled to return mid-season. So as they talked about earlier, the L ascenders are going to be disabled. Now, I believe the interior ones, like such as the elevators and stuff, like hospital, downtown, those will be in the game. So that's super exciting to kind of see that they're doing that. Now, a lot of nerfs to a lot of guns. I won't talk about this much, but these are the Gulag loadouts. Loadouts with the Gulag have been reworked to improve variety of balancing. These loadouts will change the game progress, allowing players that return field victorious to do so with a competitive weapon in hand for a better chance of recovery. So it looks like we have the Strider, a frag, and a smoke. I really wish there was no smokes in the Gulag. That's unfortunate, but looks like they're continuing to push the smoke narrative in the Gulag. I really just am not a fan. And it looks like late game, they're going to have the C9, ASVAL PP19. So unsure about this. I don't really like that. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. So we'll go ahead and see how they do this. I would like to see Gulags honestly just be just guns, in my opinion, either an AR, sub, or even just a pistol. And then if you spawn back in, you spawn back in with a pistol. That's what I would personally like, but we're going to have to wait and see. So continuing here, as you guys can tell, the info and backup pistol will now be, the spawn pistol will be the 9mm, replacing the GS45. This pistol shoots pretty fast, so again, making people shoot out of the air, kind of probably why they did the change. Kind of curious to see how that plays off. And then we'll kind of move on here. Late game redeployments will now spawn players closer to the ground, so every time the zone closes, you're going to be spawning closer and closer to the ground. Makes it just kind of easier for, or it kind of punishes the players that are dead late game, and kind of rewards the players that are up late game as well, so you can get some free kills out of the air. Players will now, quality of life, be looking approximately 30 degrees downward instead of directly at the horizon, providing clearer potential landing areas. So as soon as you guys spawn back in, you'll have like more of an advantage of as far as looking down, rather than just kind of being thrown off and then looking down. It just kind of turns out the delay. I like that quality of life. So as you guys can tell here, a big change that everybody's excited for, including myself. Floating loot is coming back. Super excited. I hope that they do it right, and hopefully it looks good. The backpack system just wasn't really executed good or well in Warzone 2, so I'm excited to see how they kind of build off of this. Some adjustments with Verdansk returning. Refinement to Battle Royale's loot philosophy that brings it back to its roots. It's valuable at I can't say that word. Great loot must be earned, and contracts are central to earning cash. So as you guys know right now, there's so much money on the ground, and I don't know if they're changing this necessarily in Resurgence. I kind of hope they leave Resurgence untouched, because I think it's actually pretty good right now. However, the Battle Royale experience has just been like redeploy drones or balloons, and also like redeploy packs and Gulag tokens and flares and fire sales and portable buy stations. So there's all these ways to come back into the game right now, and I think it's very, very unhealthy. So I'm kind of hoping that they kind of change that economic system a little bit. It seems like they are taking a step in the right direction. Common to epic weapons are now sport a selection of random attachments that align with weapons' natural strengths. Legendary weapons come to a variety of fixed builds tailored to specific roles that are randomly selected match over match. This change aims to maintain excitement for random loot while preserving the reliability of weapon performance. So right now, as you guys know, gold weapons are actually pretty good, but gold boxes, gold crates in general are pretty weak. So if you guys get a crate like this right now in the current Warzone, it's absolutely terrible. And so I hope that they kind of bring that excitement back to like, oh my God, I got a gold crate. And it gives you like either utility and money and a good gun, stuff like that. Just kind of brings that excitement back to the game. So excited to kind of see how they do that. As you guys can tell, high value loot zones are coming back. So for example, in Old Town, you get a high value loot system as well as high rise right now in Urzikstan. Super excited to kind of see how they build off of this. Duffel bags, medical cabinets, and weapon lockers, these sources of loot have been removed to better service the classic feeling of Verdansk. So this is actually pretty massive. Medical cabinets gave you self-revive sometimes. Duffel bags were also very key and vital for a lot of the loot. And weapon lockers were huge for like, especially most wanteds. If you guys, every crate that you open, you would lose 10 seconds on the most wanted. So kind of this is like more of a nerf as well to most wanteds as well. I don't think they said anything specifically about cash registers. So we're going to have to kind of see and wait on that. Self-revives now can only be acquired via the following sources: a legendary supply box. I love that. Scavenger contract. Love that. Buy station 4,000 and a fire sale for free. So this is kind of how it used to be in the original experience. We'll go ahead and read this next comment. Your life matters, and returning back to the classic feeling of Verdansk, we are going back to a simpler set of second chance mechanics that are faithful to the original Battle Royale experience. So very exciting to kind of see. I know they're putting a huge emphasis on making BR a BR again, and I think it's very, very important for the strength of the game. So hopefully they continue to do that. Death tax, you know, I won't talk about this much, but basically you just lose money whenever you die. Loot angle, quality of life. Interactions now require more precise aiming to reduce the accidental item picks up. pickups. This is great. Sometimes right now you could be looking straight ahead and you're trying to reload your gun and you pick up an item on the ground. I know this was a huge issue as well with folding loot, so hopefully that's kind of tuned and good as well. As you guys can tell, the original classic vertical redesign for the buy station is coming back and returning. This is great. Loadout drops are coming back with I believe a scaled system, and I think the max for quads is 10K from what I remember from the call, so that's super, super exciting. We'll kind of move on, and I know there's a lot to talk about today, so we're kind of going to have to go through it a little bit on just a brief base to base. As you guys can tell here as well, redeploy all buttons. So if you guys have a lot of money, let's say you have 10K or 12K, for example, and you have 3 teammates that are dead, it is now an option to redeploy all. So if you have 12K, you can just hit one button. It'll buy all your teammates back. Super, super exciting for that. We'll go ahead and kind of continue. Buy stations will spawn in the same exact 30 static locations across every match. I know this is massive. Buy stations that kind of change spots every single game are super random, and I just don't like it. So I'm excited to see how they kind of build off of these static locations for buy stations. And as you guys can tell here, armor plates are 300, cluster strikes are 3,000, precision airstrikes are 5, UAV is 6, gas masks are 3, self-revive is 4, munitions boxes are 2,500, armor boxes are 4,000, loadout markers, solo 6,000, and quads, duos, trios, and quads is 10,000. Squad mate redeploy, 4K. So 4K buyback, 10K loadout. Very curious to see how they did it for duos, trios, and quads. And then they made it for solo 6,000. So hopefully they kind of adjust that maybe to back how it was now. But, you know, with the economy and stuff, they probably know a lot better than we do. So I'm going to kind of just go ahead and let them do that. Now for the movement, I know that there was a lot of things that they said that they were changing for movement specifically. I believe that all these values are for the Black Ops 6. We'll go ahead and read this. The introduction of Black Ops 6 Omni Movement System revolutionized the gameplay and has become the foundation of players' movement in Call of Duty Warzone. While the system has launched with the multiplayer-inspired values, we've recognized the need for adjustments for better aligned movement dynamics with the unique demands of Call of Duty Warzone's limited life modes. Season 3 focuses with the fine-tuning of Black Ops 6 player movement by ensuring a balance between fluidity and responsiveness. So as you guys know, Model for 2019, the movement in general was very snappy, where it felt very responsive. Right now, it's a little clunky, you know, still have like some of that Warzone 2 feeling, and you guys could see that with some of the jumping and the penalties as you get for jumping and stuff like that. So hopefully they continue to build off that. Crouch movement speed reduced, crouch to stand speed increase. So this is great. The crouch shot seems like it's coming back a little bit. Crouch to stand speed while ADS increase. This is massive. So you guys can do that up and down. You know, if you're crouched and then you want to stand up, you kind of up and down. Super great. Prone movement reduced. That's totally fine. Sprinting movement speed reduced. Okay, we'll kind of have to see how that goes. 5% doesn't seem anything massive. Directional sprint animation blends speeds increase for improved fluidity. These values bring Call of Duty Warzone's movement speeds closer to the spirit of the original experience while still preserving the fluidity of Black Ops 6. We encourage players to go hands-on with these fine-tuned changes as they can be hard to express in the patch note. The proof is in the pudding. They seem very excited about this, and I will say, even on the call, a lot of the devs and stuff, they seem pretty excited about the movement changes for Warzone, even though they have kind of marketed it as like a negative thing. Like there's been some reductions and stuff like that. I'm curious to kind of see how it is on launch. And again, like they said, we're going to have to just get hands-on with it. But I know that even somebody mentioned like bunny hopping, for example, and they didn't comment on it. But I know that some of the devs kind of had like a smile to their face and stuff. So unsure. They, again, not confirming that there's bunny hopping coming back. However, I do feel like that they are hinting at some things. And as you guys can tell here in the next one, it says jump cooldown. Reduce the cooldown by 40% for improved responsiveness during repeated jumps. This seems like it's a little bit of a leak or like a little bit of a lean towards bunny hopping. Again, not going to say that until we get to play it, but super exciting nonetheless. Omni sprint, back and slide speeding scaling reduced by 8.5% to better balance the strafe movement. So right now the speeds are pretty fast. Again, 8.5 doesn't seem like much, but we're just going to go ahead and have to try it. Increase the friction by 4% to reduce overly slippery engagements. Now, one of the biggest complaints I know right now with Omni movement is that it feels like you're constantly on skates and you're constantly like slipping. And if you try to get behind the cover, your character's constantly moving. So maybe this is kind of a fix to that as well with the slide friction. So we're going to have to go ahead and see. Now, contracts, as I mentioned before, guys, we have the recon contract coming back. Supply runs are making a return. We haven't seen these since Caldera, I believe. Contract multiplier, thank you so much. This is massive. Something that I've been pushing very heavily on the podcast and everything that you guys know. This is super exciting to see contracts. You know, it kind of just scales better in a BR sense where if you are doing contracts early game, you kind of scale very well. Whereas you don't do contracts early game, sure, you might have money, but you kind of just stay plateaued. And those late game engagements, when you lose money, you kind of dip and it's very hard to get back up. So this might be better just for the BR experience, kind of just makes that experience overall just very organic and genuine to the Battle Royale feel. As well, bounties, Most wanteds, recon, scavenger, supply run. Now, disabled, big game bounty, signal intelligence, and spy drones. I believe that spy drones were only on Resurgence, so we are losing that. One of my biggest questions was if we are going to have Resurgence kind of be the same, but it seems like they're not. We're going to go ahead and have to see how it plays out with Resurgence specifically. Hopefully, they continue to separate the two and that we can have Resurgence be its own thing in its own great way and BR be its own thing in a great way, because when they try to combine the two, we saw obviously what happened. We'll go ahead and continue on this. Recon contract, quality of life, added an upward arrow indicating how much faster the recon contract is being captured by your team, depending on how many players are on the target, assisting while capture. Great. So public events, fire sale, jailbreak, loadout, restock. They did mention that jailbreaks are very, very, very rare. Unsure about the fire sale. We're going to have to wait for that. Disabled, flybys, cash drops, contractor, rogue signal, runaway train, and the recon flyover. I forget what I was going to say, but there is something missing, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, maybe the group loadout drops. Maybe this is it. Kind of included on that, but there are currently like loadouts that drop together for everybody, like the yellow ones. So curious to see if those are still in the game. Thermites are making a return. C4s are in. Frag grenades, Molotovs, Semtex, spring mines, thermites, throwing knives, tacticals, concussion grenades, decoy grenades, experimental gas, flashbang, smoke, snapshot, stims. Now only available in the loadouts: blast traps, combat, drill, impact grenades, thermos, neuromine, procs, shock, spy. So this is ground loot. Okay. I am kind of upset that they didn't take out impact grenades. I feel like those are just very bad for the game, in my opinion. Hopefully they took them out of ranked in season 3.5. However, kind of curious how they build off of that. We'll just gonna have to go ahead and wait. Now, building off of that as well, armor satchels and munition satchels are available with the Bandolier wildcard. So I thought munition satchels were as well being taken out, but it seems like they're not. Maximum armor plates default from 6 to 5 for the classic experience, and now I believe satchels are back to 8. Unlimited players will consistently drop at least 1 armor plate in the Battle Royale and Resurgence match modes. Does not apply in Boot Camp and Battle Royale Casual. Armor is your first line of defense and gauges how freely you'll take engagements. Recently, armor supplies have been so plentiful that enemies are able to reinforce armor several times in the middle of a fight. Notion of downtime. Okay, I understand where they're going with this, so I don't mind it. We're just going to have to go ahead and wait and see how it plays. Gulag armor removed in unranked and unranked Battle Royale modes. The Gulag now features health only. Wow, that is insane. So the TTK is going to be absolutely insane. We'll go ahead and have to wait for that. Field upgrades, as you guys can tell in the new UI system. They're going to have field upgrades in the new UI system, which is super exciting. Now, field upgrades. Armor box, deployable cover, heartbeat sensor, munitions box, recon drone, trophy system, utility box available via the Battle Ready wildcard. Now, in the podcast we did, they said that they took this stuff out, so I'm very, very confused now. Disabled, deployable buy, PDSs. Wait, PDSs are gone too? Oh my gosh. Portal radars, portable redeploy drones, redeploy drone beacon, the reinforcement flare, scrambler, and war cry. Okay. Now, heartbeat sensor increased battery life from 60 to 120 seconds. An interchangeable icon, white dot, now appears with field upgrades. Okay, we'll kind of continue. Advanced UAVs available via activating 3 consecutive UAVs in a row. I'm a huge UAV hater, so hopefully they kind of adjust those moving forward, but we'll see. Supply UAVs ready as well, so they are keeping battle ready in the game. Precision airstrike, cluster strikes, and UAV. Bunker busters are gone. Care packages are gone. Counter UAVs are gone. Foresight is taken out. Napalm strikes, SAM turrets, and sentry guns all removed. I thought I saw in the trailer today that there was a sentry gun on top of a car too. So I'm curious about that. Now, I did see this, guys, the precision airstrike indicator. To return to the classic feeling of Verdansk, precision airstrike mini-map notification that was added last year has been removed. I'm not big on this. I really do like the quality of life with the precision airstrike indicator. Hopefully they add it back. We're just going to have to see how it plays out, but I don't think that this is a good change, in my opinion. Crowded no spare airspace notification. The airspace 2 crowded message will now appear when a player attempts to pick up your ADS with a killstreak in an area where too many aerial killstreaks are currently active. This removes uncertainty about killstreak upon looting. Okay, looks good. Lootable perks. All lootable perks have been removed from the Battle Royale and returning the classic feel of Verdansk. These may return in the future update depending on feedback. I'm not very big on lootable perks, so kind of excited to see how they build off of that. Now, a lot of weapons and stuff coming back. You know, we won't talk about it much, but we have the Kilo, we have the AMAX, we have the HDR. I know we have the Kali sticks, and we also have the Growl coming back as a conversion kit. Monolithic suppressor coming back as well. Default loadouts. This is huge. So anyone that has not played the game, if you guys are worried about not having your guns leveled up, they're going to have default loadouts that are somewhat viable with competitive options. For example, if the Growl and the AMAX are super good, they'll have those as options for default loadouts. That is super, super exciting. Classic vehicles, heli, cargo truck, Polaris, LTV, ATV. Apparently, these are all reworked as well. So we're going to have to wait for that. As well as vehicle vulnerability. Launchers, 1 hit for the ATV. Grenades, 1 hit. Traps, 1 hit, 1 hit. 10 ticks for the thermites. And as you guys can tell, a lot of different values there. The original experience coming back for Warzone Victory, kind of like, you know, when you win the game, it's the original victory screen. So that's super exciting. Happy to see how that comes back, as well as recons and stuff like that coming back in the original way. As well, that's super exciting. The ping shape has been reverted from the triangle shape to lollipop shapes that considered the classic feature. Go to pings and now have classic values, improving legibility. So super exciting, kind of making a lot of really, really good changes, as well as the inspect view attachments. So if you guys ever pick up a gun and you're like, yo, what attachments are on this? Even with ground loot, you can go ahead and inspect the weapon. It'll tell you exactly what attachments are on that gun, which is actually incredible, as well as a lot of detailed recap and how you die. So if you die to someone, it'll tell you if you got live pinged, if you died to an unsuppressed weapon, a lot of things like that. That's super exciting. Favoriting your weapon is coming back as well. The death skull icon, navigation pings, so many great things that are coming back. And, you know, like I said, I'll kind of leave this up here if you guys want to pause and go through it. I won't talk about it much. However, this is one of the amazing things coming back, is the custom ping duration. So for example, if I live ping something, and I forget to live ping it, it'll just stay there the rest of the game. If I live ping loot or a loadout or a helicopter or something, and it's super just visually annoying as a teammate to not have that. So hopefully this setting will fix that for a lot of players, and that's super, super exciting. So I'm curious to see how they build off of that. Now, this is probably one of the most important things that I'll talk about in today's video, but a lot of the classic OG nostalgic audio is coming back. For example, the music, the hit markers, the doors, the footstep recordings, loot chests, that's a big one. Buy stations, contracts, UI sound. So the ping, splashes, progression. I'm sure team wipes are going to be the same. Very similar. So this is very, very exciting. As you guys know, right now, reverb is a very big thing in Warzone audio. And I'm hopefully that they have a huge improvement on audio, because I know footsteps and stuff like that, reverb has kind of been very shaky, especially at the launch of Warzone. So we'll go ahead and read this real quick. Transition from the old array casted occlusion system that Microsoft tried to Acoustics audio middleware, providing realistic audio inclusion, obstruction, and reverberation. Improved sound behavior around corners and surfaces, custom tuned data specifically optimized for Call of Duty Warzone. Now, audio in general, I won't go into this too much, but it seems like that they are bringing back a lot of the nostalgia. Like I said, loot boxes as well, like that original sound. You guys will probably see it in other videos or gameplay, but super, super exciting. I know Call of Duty even introduced some of that audio, what it sounds like, in their video today for their loadouts kind of around London and stuff like that. So super exciting. Again, not something that we can necessarily talk about or kind of compare until the day comes where we get to play it, but super, super exciting. A lot of bugs. We won't go into that, but super, super exciting. That is pretty much the majority of the patch notes. So super, super exciting. And if you guys got all the way to this video, I really appreciate it. Like I said, super excited for Warzone coming in April 3rd. We're going to be doing lots of content, lots of YouTube videos, lots of live streams and stuff like that. So if you guys don't follow me on the Twitch or the YouTube, if you're not subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe. That's going to be all for today's video. I love you guys. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace, peace.